Hooray, it's Friday and we're getting to the end of our week. End of our second week of doing these breathing exercises. I know some of you have been joining me for nearly every session, so well done and thank you so much. Just going to wait another couple of minutes maybe until a few more people arrive and then we'll get started. I'm just going to check my ukulele's tuned up for a bit later. And so yeah, we've been talking about what song we'll do for our sing-along next week. Somebody suggested Let It Be, which is a great choice, so definitely think about that one. Let me know if you've got any other ideas, because I'm thinking each week I'll do a different song, but the same song for the whole week. So, you know, if you suggest a song this week and we don't do it next week, I'll do it the week after or whenever. So yeah, have a little think about that. Okay, let's just get started, and then when other people arrive they can just join in. So as usual, if you've been here before, you'll recognise this. We're going to swing from our hips, just keeping our knees nice and relaxed and bent so that nothing's kind of jarring or anything. We're going to make sure we've got enough room around us, and we're going to just have our arms be all floppy, and as we swing they're going to sort of flap round. And if you can, you're sort of slapping your shoulder, your opposite shoulder kind of thing. Just keep everything nice and relaxed. And the reason we're doing this is to just kind of warm everything up, so that get a little bit of our blood pumping. And just kind of, I don't know about you, but for me especially, I'm not very much of a morning person, and this is still very much morning for me. You know, everything's a little bit kind of creaky and tired in the morning, so we just kind of shake it all out, just try and get rid of all of the kind of tension and all that kind of thing. So now we are going to stand with our feet hip distance apart. We're going to find what that is. You know, once you get used to it, you don't necessarily have to do this every time. But a lot of people, including me when I first started, it's like you have no idea where your hips are in relation to your feet, kind of thing. Because why would you? I mean, so we just find the hip bone around here. You can feel it. And then you're going to point your finger down around about where the actual hip bone is, and you kind of want your big toe to be just above, just below the hip bone, and your feet sort of facing forwards, equal weight on sort of your big toe, the outside of your foot and your heel. Try and sort of have each foot be like a little sort of tripod. Knees slightly bent, or you know, if you're one of these people that can have straight legs without it being kind of locked straight, then you don't need to bend your knees. But we definitely don't want to be sort of clenching anything or locking any of our joints so straight that it actually causes more tension. So just nice kind of loose knees. And what we're going to be doing is kind of creating our own little rhythm by just bending and straightening our legs. But as we're doing this, I want you to start thinking about the way that you're breathing. You know, we all think we know how to breathe, and of course, you know, we do. But instead of consciously taking in a breath, I want you to be more concentrating more energy on breathing out. I want you to be able, if you can, visualize it in your mind or in whatever way that it kind of works for you. I want you to be aware of your diaphragm, which is it's a big muscle that sits at the bottom of your rib cage, and it's going to push upwards, which is going to push the air out of your lungs, and that's the muscular part. That's the bit which requires effort, and then you're going to just relax, and the diaphragm, when it relaxes, will just drop, and that will suck the air into your lungs. So you don't take a breath in, you just allow the air back in, and then you're going to push the air back out, and then you're going to relax, and the air's going to just come back in. So we're going to add some arm movements that are going to kind of reflect that. Again, if you can sort of be picturing your lungs, or if you're squeamish about internal organs, you can imagine it being balloons or anything like this. If you're not able to imagine that, don't worry. We're going to add some arm movements that are going to kind of reflect that. So our arm's going to come in like this, and that's when we're pushing the air out. So our hands sort of represent our diaphragm, pushing that air out, and then we're going to open them out, and that's going to sort of represent our lungs expanding, and we want to try and sort of have the air coming in and out in line with our arm movements. So out and in. And we're going to go to the side on the next one. And shake it out. Okay, we're going to do a little bit of box breathing. What that means is we're going to breathe in for 4, then hold it for 4, then breathe out for 4, and hold it for 4. So this is a much better exercise for kind of the stress relief, and you can do it anywhere, and no one will even know that you're doing it. So, whilst you're doing it, I do want you to be trying to think about the idea that when you're breathing out, you're pushing the air out using your diaphragm, and when you're breathing in, you're just relaxing and just dropping it, and then the air just comes back in automatically. So, we're going to stand with our feet hip distance apart. If you want to sit down, if that's a more appropriate position for what you're going to be using these exercises for. I actually know a couple of people who do some writing, and one of them was saying that sometimes, like, if you have writer's block, you kind of get all inside your own head, and it's sort of really hard to just clear all those thoughts. So this kind of breathing and the little sort of meditation-y thing we do near the end is quite good for that sort of just clearing your head. If that's a kind of stumbling block. I mean, I'd never thought about it from a writer's perspective, but apparently that's been helpful, so that's really cool. So if you are a writer and you would be wanting to do these exercises sat at your computer or table with your quill and ink, I don't know, however you write, you know, by all means do this sitting down. I'm going to sort of talk through from a standing position mostly, but you know, whatever works for you is good. So we're going to be hip distance apart with our feet, knees slightly bent. If you are sitting down, still try and kind of have relaxed legs, not sort of holding your knees together or crossing your legs is pretty bad. Just try and have your feet on the floor, sit on your sort of sitting, they're called the sitting bones, kind of, you know, at the bottom here, you know, and just be nice and stable. And if you're standing, slightly bent knees if you need to. We want to all imagine we've got a string coming out of the top of our head as if we were like a puppet. So if somebody let go of that string, we'd just collapse. And and hopefully as well that should help kind of align the rest of your spine a little bit. Shoulders down, elbows kind of out but relaxed, and your hands relaxed. If you're sitting, you can just you can either have your hands by your side, or if it's more comfortable, you can just place them on your lap. And so we're just going to breathe out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4. Very good. And shake it out. And if you can, try and do a nice big yawn and stretch. Sometimes it's hard to find the yawn, but that is a very good, when you're singing, you ideally want to have a slightly, you want to open your throat, and it is a little bit similar to yawning. So that's quite a good, not exactly warm-up for singing, but you know, again, you can sort of yawn as long as it's not in an impolite situation, but you can kind of yawn anyway and anywhere, and that just opens up your throat. So be aware of that if you're ever going to be singing somewhere and just want to open your throat a little bit. Try and yawn. Okay, so we're going to get back into our position, nice and relaxed. Something we want to make sure, and this is partly why I try and do little shakings out in between exercises, because especially if you're in the same position for the whole for you know, like a few exercises, you don't want to then just start getting kind of stiff in that position and kind of stuck in that position. You still want everything to be all fluid and loose and relaxed. So part of what we're always trying to do is relax everything, make sure that we're not using any muscles. You know, it's exhausting. If you were to just try and hold your arm sort of really straight with a lot of tension in it, I mean, even now, I've only been doing it for a couple of seconds, I can feel it, it's tiring. You know, you want your body to function at its kind of maximum capacity wherever possible, you know, and so having excess tension, which is just unnecessary, is exhausting for your muscles. So you know, that's another thing actually. You know, like if you're stressed a lot and you feel tired, and when you're depressed you feel tired, it's partly, you know, it is partly a physical thing. I mean, I'm not pretending to know a lot about depression. You know, if you need help, get proper help, like don't listen to me, but you know, it does make sense that if you're tired a lot of the time when you shouldn't be, to just check, you know, am I standing, you know, I've said before, if you've seen, you know, one of my tension places in my shoulders and I've done like this, you know, if you're holding on to excess tension, it will be tiring for your body because your muscles are working when they don't need to be. So the whole time, you know, in addition to we're trying to work out our diaphragm really, because that's the muscle involved in breathing, but we're also, you know, just trying to make sure that everything can work efficiently and we're not wasting energy holding on to tension that we don't need. And you know, whenever you become aware of any tension, you know, don't worry about it, just try and relax it, just think about relaxing that part. If it's possible for you to be doing these exercises in the mirror, that's really good, because quite often you know, you feel, if you're used to having this posture and that feels sort of straight to you, like in your mind you think your shoulders are both down and straight, but it turns out actually this one is actually sticking up. But because you're so used to that posture, you don't realise it. So if you look in the mirror, you suddenly think, my God, I didn't realise I stood like that. That's exactly what happened to me when I first started doing these. I felt completely like, they'd say, put your shoulders down, relax your shoulders, and I was like, I am. And they're like, well, you're not. So if you can sort of look in a mirror, that's perfect. But either way, and kind of all the time, you want to just have it at the back of your mind, where's my head, where's this, and you know, however long you have been trying to think about these things, you will probably always for the rest of your life have bad habits creep in occasionally, because that's just life gets in the way, and we don't all kind of have perfect situations all the time. But as long as you're aware of it and you don't give yourself a hard time, you'll have good days, you'll have bad days, but it's just something to kind of be constantly. So when we're doing these exercises, I like to try and start at the top of my head, kind of in my mind, just constantly kind of be going through, checking everything is relaxed, and then after a little while check again, because things creep in. So we're going to find a spot that is roughly our eye level, and that helps us to not have to be tilting our head up or down or look, and we can be soft about it if it doesn't have to, we don't want to be sort of like staring and getting all fixated on but we're basically channeling the breath to that spot. And so we're just gonna push with our diaphragm the air out of our lungs, and then we're gonna sort of try. So you don't want to be worrying about having a longer breath. You just want to be pushing the air out, and so don't hold on to any, because you want to make sure you get rid of all of that air. Sometimes when people kind of hold on to a little bit of breath, then they need to breathe in and they actually haven't got all the air out of their lungs. The aim of this is to try and empty our lungs, and sometimes it helps actually if you put your hands on your bottom ribs, and when you get to the end of your breath and you think there's no more air, if you then sort of squeeze with your hands a little bit more air comes out, and it's partly because you're strengthening your diaphragm, and until it's fully strong, you can sort of just help a little bit with your hands. Then I want you to hold it for kind of as long as you can, and then you're going to just relax. You're not going to breathe in, you're going to just relax, and the diaphragm's going to drop, and the air is just going to come into your lungs automatically. You don't need to use your muscles to bring the air in, you're just going to relax. And as the diaphragm drops, just like a syringe, the air is just going to sort of flood back in of its own accord. And all the while you're going to be picturing in your mind's eye your lungs doing this. And if you want to do these arm movements as well, that's fine if that helps you. And so we're just going to channel the air. So just keep going, think through, if you can look in the mirror, correct any little posture things that are creeping in. That's very good. Just had somebody make a comment saying it's like a lock in a canal. Yeah. So now I want you to, let's do a shh sound. So we want our mouth shape to be nice and open. Shh. We want to be forcing the air out, so we don't want to have it too, we need enough space for the air to come out. And we're just going to shh. also I want to say, you can keep going when I'm talking, but don't worry about trying to keep up with either me, hello, with either me, or if you're in the room with someone else doing it. You know, we'll all have our own kind of rhythms and different lung capacities, and you know, on different I mean, because I actually find, for example, like earlier in the day, it's more of a struggle for me than later on, because like I said already, I'm not really a morning person, but that is actually why it is good to do this. Even if you are a morning person, it is good to do it sort of earlier in the day, because it will kind of last you, and obviously you'll kind of naturally warm up. It's like most people, I think, I certainly do, I wake up and my voice will be like an octave lower and all gravelly, and then, you know, you sort of up and about for 10 minutes, and then you start to sort of warm up on your own, kind of thing. So, you know, all of these things, it's all just to kind of improve ourselves. So, you know, don't ever feel like if I'm doing the exercise and your lung capacity is bigger than mine, don't ever feel like you have to stop at the point that I stop. If you can carry on, then carry on, you know, work at your rhythm. And equally, if you've got a smaller lung capacity than me, you know, as long as you're sort of pushing yourself and stretching yourself, that's all that matters. Of course, if it hurts or, you know, anything feels weird or anything, then stop, because, you know, I'm not in the room with you, I can't see what's going on, so you have to kind of know your own body. But, you know, if you're stretching yourself, it shouldn't feel 100% comfortable, so don't worry, you know, just kind of know your own body and don't do anything that you feel like is harming you, basically. Okay, we're gonna switch now to, what shall we do? Let's do an or. I don't think we've done that yet. So we're gonna use get a bit of voice involved now. We're gonna basically do the same thing. Before we do, let's just shake it out again, just to make sure that we haven't sort of stood in the same position for too long and got some tension. And we're gonna do the yawn. And we're going to try and keep that sort of open throat feel that we got with the yawn when we use the voice now. And so we're going to, first of all, get rid of the air so that we can take in a nice deep breath, but without actively taking it in, just relaxing and letting the air come back in. So we're going to start by just sort of breathing out a little bit. Empty the lungs. Oh, and you can pick any note you want, and I quite like the idea of like we're a sort of choir, even though no one can hear each other, but we're all just sort of making the same sound and harmonizing on our different notes. Important to have water with you, like generally all the time anyway, but especially when you're doing any kind of, especially when the voice is involved, but even the breathing can sometimes, you know, because all the air is sort of coming in and out, and it can just dry, you know, sometimes I'll be doing even just like a sort of general breathing kind of thing, and it's drying out my throat, you know, so just make sure that you stay nice and hydrated and be aware of that. Okay, let's switch to an E. So we want a nice relaxed, we don't want to be sort of making any of these tension, and we don't want tension in the neck, just everything nice and relaxed, and it's almost just like a smile really, just E. We tend to, with sort of vocal warm-ups, exaggerate mouth shapes rather than, you know, if you were just going to say E, you could just say E, but we want to be E. Very good. And just shake it out. Even if you're sitting in a chair, you can still have a bit of a shake and, shake your legs or whatever. It's quite good, just to kind of wake you up. In fact, especially just thinking about the writers, again, I personally find, like if I'm sat at my computer for more than like an hour, my hands get really cold and I get really, I find sometimes you don't realise it because it just sort of creeps in, and then at a certain point you get up to make a cup of tea or something and you're like, I'm freezing, and it's because you've just been sat for so long. So just think, again, being mindful of these things in conjunction with constantly trying to correct your posture. Also think about like your circulation and stuff like this. And so if you do have a job where you're going to be sat at a computer for a long period of time, maybe every half hour, whenever's kind of convenient, but even if you don't stand up, just sort of shake things out, give it a little bit of a, if you can sort of just get up, jump about a bit, just get the blood moving again, because it's all kind of part of the same thing, everything's connected. And really what we're trying to do, even with the breathing, is to just prevent any muscles doing anything that they don't need to do, so that all of our energy can be focused on good things, not, stress and tension. Okay, so get back into your position. If you're sitting, make sure you're nice and comfortable, don't cross your legs. If you're standing, we want to be about hip distance apart with our feet. Find a spot to look at. Imagine the string holding up your head, and hopefully that also aligns the rest of your spine as well. Find your spot. If you're looking in the mirror, it could be your own eyes because you want it to be eye level. Shoulders nice and down, arms nice and relaxed. And I just want you to be thinking about the breathing. I want you to try and visualize the diaphragm pushing the air out of your lungs, relaxing, dropping, and the air just floods back into your lungs. If you want to close your eyes now, that's good. I personally find that does sometimes help with just sort of visualizing and blocking everything out. And so we're just going to breathe, and we're going to just you can breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth, or just breathe in and out through your nose or mouth, whatever you want for this. But I do want you to be conscious of your lungs more than anything else. So any other aspect of the breathing is fine, but I want you to be thinking about your lungs and your diaphragm and sort of your core area and how that's affected by your breathing. And now I want you to just, whilst you're doing that, and you're constantly correcting your posture if you need to, thinking through, relaxing all the different parts of your body. And I want you to just listen to any sounds that you can hear outside of the room that you're in. So maybe there's someone clattering around downstairs, or maybe there's a car driving past, but anything outside. And if it's completely silent, then lucky you, but then you're going to just listen to the silence and concentrate on that silence, and all the while breathing, pushing the air out of your lungs with your diaphragm, and then relaxing and dropping the diaphragm, and the air is going to flood back in, and you're just going to listen. To continue pushing the air out of your lungs with your diaphragm, and then relaxing, dropping the diaphragm, and the air is going to flood back in. Now I want you to block out the sounds from outside the room, because you're going to listen really carefully to all the sounds inside the room that you're in. It could be a clock ticking, it could be a radiator buzzing. You're just going to listen really carefully, all the while correcting your posture if you need to, relaxing all the different parts of your body, and breathing. Very good. Now I want you to come a little step closer in. So we're still breathing, we're still pushing the air out of our lungs with our diaphragm, then relaxing, dropping the diaphragm down, and the air is going to flood back in. Now we're going to just listen to all the sounds that our own body is making. You might be able to hear your heartbeat, you might hear your breathing, you might be completely silent, and that's what you're going to listen to. You're just going to block out everything else and just listen to your own body whilst breathing through it the whole time. Very good. And now, whilst you're still breathing, pushing the air out with your diaphragm, then relaxing, dropping the diaphragm down, and the air floods back in. You're going to put those three things together. You're going to listen to your own body, you're going to listen to the room you're in, and you're going to listen to outside the room you're in. And you're going to sort of visualize yourself in this space, in this time, breathing through the whole thing. surroundings now that you can see it. And well done, excellent session. So there's only one thing left to do. We're going to do our little sing-along that we've started this tradition this week. So this week's song is Stand By Me by Benny King. Hopefully, I think there might be a couple of people that have been to other sessions this week, so hopefully you'll kind of know it by now, or at least be able to sing along. I mean, you probably knew it anyway, so it's quite well known. But I've got the lyrics in a link in the description, so I'll just give you a minute. Make sure if you open those that you open it in a different tab so that you don't lose this session. So I'll just give you a second to find that link and open it. There are a few other links to like my Twitter and PayPal, hint hint, but I'll just take this opportunity to say that, you know, although I am sort of a busker by nature, so I do sort of play for tips and stuff, but I understand, you know, we're all sort of in a very weird situation at the moment, financially and in the world, so, you know, it's enough for me that you just come. I mean, it's actually amazing to me that anybody's come at all, so thank you so much for joining me in these sessions. If you can spare anything, it's obviously very much appreciated, but please don't feel obligated. Just thank you so much for coming, and I'll be back again next week, 11 AM Greenwich Mean Time. So hopefully I will see you again, and then we'll leave with, I'll do a little intro, and then we'll all sing together for the last time this week. When the night has come and the land is dark and the moon is the only light we'll see, well, I won't be afraid, no, I won't be afraid, just as long as you stand by me. So darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Stand by me. If the sky we look upon should tumble and fall, or the mountains should crumble to the sea, well, I won't cry, I won't cry, I won't shed a tear, just as long as you stand by me. So darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Stand by me. So darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Stand by me. Thank you so much. We're going to do a different song next week. Haven't decided yet what that's going to be, so if you've got any ideas, send me a message or put something in the comments. And have a great weekend, and well done for another great session. Thank you. Bye.